today?
We had a preliminary hearing that lasted 4 or 5 hours, and a couple of interesting things happened. One of the most interesting is, with a wave of the wand, the State Board of Education said that they took a district, and the IMSET, which is an improvement score. You need over 50 to be provisionally accredited. You need 70 to be an accredited district. Normandy is an 11.1. And they said, since we took it over, we're going to call this thing accredited as a state oversight district.
So they just made up this status.
Well, not only did they make up the status, but they didn't have the guts to actually, when you accredit a district, you use the word accredit. And so they didn't want to use the word accredit because, frankly, they figured people would be up with pitchforks and, start wanting to burn the village. So they came up with this thing called a new accreditation as a state oversight district, which, by the way, does not mean accredited. But they actually showed up in court and said, well, to us, that means accredited, and therefore it's on the same par, at least according to their briefings, as a Ladue, a Clayton, a Brentwood, a Kirkwood.
So, and Josh, people should understand that this moniker, this tag they put on the school district is important because whatever tag is given to the school, whether accredited and or unaccredited, depends then on what the parents are allowed to do.
Yeah, we have a transfer statute that's been around, and for the last 7 years, that's gone up and down from the Supreme Court twice. And basically, the transfer statute says if you're in an accredited district, you can't transfer, but if you're not in an accredited district, you get to transfer out. So what they're doing is, no, they do not like this transfer statute. It's 167, 131. They've never liked it. And what they're trying to do is thwart what the Supreme Court has said twice. The legislature enacted the statute. They know that these kids should be allowed to transfer. And frankly, look, any kid should be allowed to attend a legitimately accredited school, and we have standards on how schools are accredited. And if a school meets that accreditation standard, then a kid should be able to attend there. And if it doesn't meet that standard that's set by the State Board of Education in DESE, then every kid in this state should be allowed to go to an accredited school. And I don't know whether this is race-related or not, but the truth of the matter is that if this was happening in a predominantly white district, no one would ever get away with this. But what's happening is we're doing this in districts where you have parents who are poor, who are not able to make the contributions to politicians and have the power, the political power. So what we're really doing is the state board is taking people who don't have the same voice and people that they can get away with, and they would never do this in districts like Ladue, like Clayton, like Brentwood. Imagine a Ladue parent if their ratings was 11.1, and then suddenly it was accredited.
Yeah. Josh, a couple things quickly, because as you mentioned, this law went up and down to the Supreme Court twice. And I want to say the Supreme Court voted unanimously that this is what the law says and this is what the state must do. Because of this hearing tomorrow, how long before the courts reside this issue now?
Well, this is a preliminary injunction hearing, and basically what we're saying is, look, every kid who is in a school that's not accredited should be allowed to transfer this year promptly while the court takes time to have a trial on the merits. We are submitting proposed orders, but today I would anticipate that the court is going to make a very quick ruling. The judge recognizes yesterday Francis Howell started. Most of the schools start next week. The judge recognizes the time is of the essence. So I would anticipate a ruling on the preliminary injunction in a matter of days.
Okay, now the students, because last year it was officially named unaccredited, therefore kids left to go all over the region. Those same kids this year, unless this judge acts, because of what the administration has done and what this DESI's done, they're not allowed to leave, correct?
Well, it's true in one respect, and it's not true in another respect. A lot of school districts have stepped up to the plate, and by the way, most school districts have stepped up to the plate and have said, look, we took the kids last year, we're going to take them this year. And within the context of what a terrible thing the State Board of Education and a terrible thing DESI has done, within that context, you've seen certain rays of hope. So, for example, University City said, look, the minute one of these kids walked into our district, they no longer were a Normandy child. They were a University City child, and we are not going to abandon that child. And so University City, for example, is taking the kids back, and so is Kirkwood. Francis Howell, Pattonville, Riddener, and Ferguson-Florissant has said no. And frankly, it's time for the people in those districts to go to their school districts and say, you know what, this is wrong. We took these kids last year. The state board is acting like a child. They're acting unreasonably, but that doesn't mean that we have to act unreasonably. So it's my hope that they look at the Ladou's, the Claytons, the Kirkwoods, the University Cities. They say, wait a minute, a vast majority of these other districts are taking the kids back. What's wrong with our four districts? Don't we care about children the way Ladue cares about their kids, or Clayton or Brentwood? It's my hope that the parents of Francis Howell, Pattonville, Riddenauer, and Ferguson-Florissant see this and start calling their boards and start calling their teachers and their administrators and say, wait a minute, everybody else is doing it. You know, we don't have to rely on the state. We can say to the State Board of Education, no, we know you're wrong, and we're going to take action. Every other district is doing that but four.
Josh, will you come back after the judge rules so you can sort of break it down for us?
Yeah, hopefully I'm coming back where these kids are back in school next week.
Josh Schindler, attorney for the Normandy parents in that ongoing lawsuit. Josh, thanks for checking in.
Thanks for everything. Have a good day.
You got it. 758, St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. If people really knew what were going on, there would be pitchforks in the streets.
It is amazing to me that the state board can just say, oh, okay, Normandy is the lowest performing school in the district.
Right.
I mean, the lowest performing, but we're going to uncredit them on our own. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's
unbelievable.
It is.
It's unbelievable that they're getting away with this, and it's unbelievable that people aren't outraged by it.
Yeah.
St. Louis Closet Company Traffic Center. Here's Tim Weiland.
You've got an accident now westbound 70.